Tonight, 3 archived stories.
I'm recording this because I don't trust what stays in my head anymore, and because writing it down feels too permanent, like admitting that whatever happened is allowed to stay real after I stop thinking about it. This was sent to me by a subscriber who lives alone in a quiet American suburb, the kind of neighborhood where the houses all look similar. The streets are empty after dark, and the loudest sound at night is usually someone pulling into their driveway a few houses down. He told me he never felt unsafe there, not once, and that's why what happened unsettled him so deeply, because nothing about the place prepared him for fear. The camera was already installed when he bought the house, mounted above the front door, angled slightly downward to capture the porch, the driveway, and the first few steps leading up to the entrance. It ran constantly, it recorded constantly. He treated it like background noise, something that existed only in case it was ever needed, something meant to confirm that life was continuing normally while he wasn't looking. He said the first alert came late in the evening after work, while he was already inside the house, barefoot on the kitchen floor, jacket off, keys sitting on the counter exactly where he always dropped them. His phone buzzed softly in his pocket, and without thinking, without fear, he pulled it out and saw the notification: motion detected at your front door. What confused him wasn't the alert itself, but the timing, because he had been home for at least 10 minutes by then, long enough to change, long enough to pour himself a drink, long enough to forget about the outside world entirely. Still, curiosity won, and he opened the app, expecting to see an empty porch or maybe the tail end of his own arrival. Instead, the video showed him walking up the driveway, tired shoulders slumped slightly forward, jacket half-zipped, steps slow and familiar, the exact way he always walked at the end of the day. He watched himself stop at the door, shift his weight, reach into his pocket for his keys, hesitate for a moment like he always did, and then lean closer to unlock it. The timestamp said it had happened 12 minutes earlier. At first he laughed, a quiet, nervous sound, and told himself it was a delay, a syncing issue, some harmless technical error that didn't deserve attention. He checked the live feed. The porch was empty, the driveway was empty, everything looked exactly as it should have. That explanation lasted less than a minute, because the phone vibrated again in his hand. Another alert, another motion detected. This time he didn't move. He stood frozen in the kitchen, heart slowly beginning to pound, eyes locked on the screen as the second clip loaded. He felt a growing sense of unease before the video even started, a quiet certainty that whatever he was about to see wouldn't fit into anything he could explain away. The footage showed him again, walking up the driveway, wearing the same clothes, moving with the same rhythm, stopping at the same spot in front of the door. But this time there was a difference so subtle he almost missed it. The way the person on the screen tilted his head slightly toward the door, as if listening, as if expecting something on the other side. The timestamp confirmed it, 12 minutes after the first recording. 12 minutes after he was already inside the house. He checked the locks with shaking hands, walking from room to room, opening doors, checking closets, listening for movement, telling himself not to imagine footsteps where there were none. Everything was locked. Every room was empty. The house felt unchanged, and somehow that made it worse. When he watched the second clip again, he noticed something that hadn't registered the first time. The camera never recorded the door opening. The figure reached for the handle, and the video cut. No entry, no exit, no explanation, just motion recorded without resolution, like a sentence that stopped before the final word. That night, he slept with the lights on, the phone face up on the bed beside him, the app open, the screen dimmed but never fully dark. He told me he barely slept at all, waking up at every sound, every shift of air, every imagined creak of the house settling. The next evening, he tried something different.
He came home early, parked across the street, and watched his own house from a distance, sitting in his car with the engine off, staring at the front door like it might do something on its own if given enough time. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. No lights flickered, no movement registered. Then his phone buzzed. Another alert. Motion detected. The video showed him again, but this time the figure stopped at the bottom step and didn't move. It didn't reach for the door. It didn't shift its weight. It just stood there, facing the camera, as if aware it was being watched, as if waiting for something to change before continuing. The clip ended without the figure leaving. That night, the camera recorded motion once more, long after midnight. The porch light didn't turn on, the door didn't open, but something stood very close to the door, so close the camera only caught part of a shoulder and the side of a face pressed near the frame, listening. His face. That was when he understood it wasn't recording him coming home. It was recording something checking whether he already had. The last file he sent me doesn't have a notification attached to it. No alert, no timestamp he could explain. It's just a saved clip, the reflection of the front door glass, showing him standing inside the hallway, staring at the door from a distance. And on the other side of the glass, someone identical, standing just as still, waiting to see which one of them was supposed to be there. The recording ends there.
I didn't think much of it at first, because by the time it appeared, I was already tired of alerts, warnings, updates, and messages telling me what I should be afraid of next. Phones do that now. They interrupt you constantly, and most of the time nothing actually happens. This story came from a subscriber who said the notification appeared late at night when the house was quiet enough that every vibration sounded louder than it should have. No TV on, no music, just the low hum of electricity and the feeling that the night had settled in deeper than usual. The phone lit up on the table by itself. No sound, no vibration, just the screen waking up like it had decided something was important enough to break the silence. He glanced at it without moving closer, already annoyed, already expecting nothing more than another meaningless reminder. The message was short, too short. You are safe now. No app icon, no sender name, no logo, nothing to swipe, nothing to open, nothing to trace back to a source. Just the sentence, centered on the screen, perfectly clean, like it had always been there and he was only noticing it for the first time. He waited for the second notification, the explanation, the follow-up that always comes with mistakes like this, but nothing else arrived. The screen went dark again, leaving the room exactly the way it had been before, unchanged, except for the feeling that something had just concluded. That was the part that unsettled him most. Not the message itself, but the wording. Now. He checked the time, a few minutes past midnight. No missed calls, no alerts before it, no updates pending. He searched through his notification history and found nothing, not even a record that the message had ever existed. But he remembered reading it. The next morning, he mentioned it casually to a coworker, the way you mention strange dreams you don't fully believe in yet. She stared at him longer than necessary before quietly pulling out her phone. She had received the same message, same wording, Same lack of sender, same time frame. You are safe now. By the end of the day, more people had stories. Friends, family members, people from different cities, different states, all describing the same thing, the same sudden message, the same feeling of closure, like something had just ended without anyone remembering it beginning. News outlets didn't mention it. Tech companies denied it. Service providers blamed temporary glitches. But no one could explain why the message always arrived at night, or why it never appeared on phones that were powered off, or why it never repeated. Once was enough. The subscriber said that's when the dreams started. Not nightmares, not images, just absence. He would wake up with the feeling that something was missing, not from the room, but from the timeline of his own life, like a chapter had been quietly removed while he wasn't paying attention. He couldn't name what it was, only that it used to be there. He started noticing small gaps, moments he couldn't place, instinctive fears that no longer made sense. Places that once made his chest tighten now felt neutral. Sounds that used to trigger unease passed without reaction. It felt like relief, and that frightened him more than panic ever had. One night, unable to sleep, he scrolled through his phone, searching for proof that the message had been real. Screenshots posted online had vanished. Threads ended mid-sentence. Accounts that discussed it stopped updating altogether, like the conversation had reached its conclusion. He said the worst part came a week later. Another notification appeared. This time it didn't light up the screen. It appeared already there when he picked up the phone, as if it had been waiting. You don't remember what you're safe from. No timestamp, no sender. Just the sentence sitting beneath the first one, stacked neatly like lines in a finished report. You are safe now. You don't remember what you're safe from. He said that's when he started feeling watched again. Not followed, not hunted, observed, like someone checking the result of their work. The final message came without a screen lighting up at all. He only noticed it because his phone felt heavier in his hand. One new line. We're glad you didn't notice. That's where his message to me ends. He hasn't replied since, and no one I've asked remembers being afraid of anything specific anymore. Only that whatever it was, it's gone, and it wants us to stay that way. I need to be careful with how I say this, because every time I try to describe it directly, my thoughts feel like they slide around something important, like there's a part of the memory that refuses to be looked at head on. This story came from a subscriber who said the moment it started, nothing felt dramatic. No paralysis, no pressure on the chest, no sense of being trapped. That's why it took him so long to understand that something was wrong, because by all visible measures, he had woken up normally. He could move his arms, he could shift his legs under the blanket, he could breathe deeply, feel the air fill his lungs, feel his heartbeat slow down the way it always did when he realized he was awake. He even thought clearly, recognized the room, recognized the ceiling, recognized the faint glow of early morning light leaking through the curtains. Everything worked, except for one thing he couldn't name at first. It felt like part of him was still asleep, not tired, not groggy, absent, like a door left closed behind him. He lay there for a while, staring at the ceiling, waiting for that familiar internal click, the moment when you feel fully present inside your own body. It never came. Instead, there was a subtle sense of imbalance, as if his awareness was leaning forward, leaving something behind. That was when he noticed it. The room felt crowded, not visually, not physically, closer than that.
like when someone stands just behind you and you don't hear them, but your body reacts anyway. He rolled onto his side. Nothing there. Sat up in bed. Still nothing. But the feeling didn't move. It stayed exactly where it was, right next to where his head had been, like something had woken up there instead. He told himself it was anxiety, a leftover dream, a chemical delay in the brain. That explanation lasted until he stood up. When he took his first step, he felt it hesitate. Not his body, the other thing, like it was deciding whether to follow. He walked to the bathroom, turned on the light, and looked at his reflection, searching for signs of shock, fear, anything that would justify the way his skin felt too tight. His face looked normal, awake, alert, but his eyes felt wrong, not blurry, not unfocused, delayed, like they were waiting for confirmation before reacting. That was the first morning. The second morning was worse. He woke up the same way, instantly, cleanly, and again felt that unmistakable absence, the sense that part of him hadn't crossed over into wakefulness. This time he didn't move right away. He stayed still and listened, not with his ears, but with something deeper. He became aware of breathing that wasn't his, not sound, timing, a rhythm just slightly out of sync with his own, close enough to feel, too close to ignore. When he finally sat up, the breathing stopped, not faded, stopped, slowly, like it was holding still, watching to see what he would do next. Over the following days, he noticed changes that were harder to describe. His body moved normally, but his thoughts sometimes arrived late, as if they were being passed forward from somewhere behind him. He would reach for objects and feel a momentary resistance, not physical, but internal, like something hadn't agreed yet.
Sleep became shallow. Dreams stopped entirely. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they were happening somewhere else. One night, exhausted, he decided to test it. He set an alarm for the middle of the night, telling himself he would wake slowly, carefully, easing back into consciousness the way doctors recommend. When the alarm went off, he followed the plan perfectly. And still, something stayed behind. This time he felt it clearly, not beside him, inside the space he had just left, like he had stood up from a chair and someone else had sat down immediately after. He turned off the alarm and whispered into the dark, not words, just intent, just awareness. The room felt wrong instantly, heavy, not with pressure, with attention. That was the first night he felt afraid, not of it, but of himself, because part of him knew exactly what had happened. He hadn't fully woken up. Something else had. This morning, he said, he woke up slowly again, too slowly, and for a moment he couldn't move. Not paralysis, indecision, like the body was waiting to see who would take it first. He felt the presence lean closer, not threatening, curious, like it was learning the timing, learning how much of him was still asleep. He sent me this message right after. No follow-up, no explanation, just one final line. If I don't wake up tomorrow, please don't assume I didn't try.